Welcome to the world of wings, worms, and wonder. I'm Kelly Johnson, your Creative Nature Connection guide. This is the masking technique video in my Watercolor Basics for Nature Journalers video series. So, masking technique, what does that mean? No, we're not wearing masks while we paint. Masking is when you block off an area of your paper that you want to stay without paint. So you could use this to create borders, highlights, details, grids, or for any other reason you come up with that you would want to keep an area pure white or whatever color of your paper amidst an area of paint. Masking is especially useful for blocking something next to a large area of wet on wet painting, or when you're blending or fading, such as in a sunset or a sky. And there's a couple ways to mask. Today we're using masking tape and Frisket. So by masking tape, I mean painter's tape. This is a wide one. You can get the thin. You can even use washi tape. Washi tape is like masking tape and works very well and is usually skinnier. So for tape, and then the other option is Frisket, and we'll get into that second. So with tape, literally you put the tape where you don't want paint to go. So if you've watched the Setting Up for Success video, you saw how we put tape down on the edges to create a border. So you could create like a picture frame, but you would go all the way down your page. I'm not going to tape this whole paper to the table right now. You could mask off an entire section, like for a horizon line, for example. So you could go like this. Maybe you have this side for a border taped down also. And then you could do a sky scene here. And that would keep everything below this line white. Now, you might say, if you've watched the wet on wet video, why don't you just not put water there? Well, maybe you want to lift your page up and get some drips going. And the tape, if with wet on wet, if you lift your page, it's probably still going to drip. But with the masking tape, it's not going to allow the paint or water to go past. So you want to make sure you get your edges down nicely, especially where tape meet in the corners. Now, you could use a small, say you had like a sun, like on the horizon. You could use the tape to sort of create your, work your way around the circle to create your barrier, so the sun color didn't, you could do it on either side. You could do it so the sun didn't go into your sky, complementary colors, it could get muddy. Or you could do your tape on the inside and mask off the entire, and it takes a lot of small pieces for this to get curves, but with a little time, it's okay. You could mask off the inside, so making sure you get those edges down. Okay, now let's see what happens. Get our water. Let's see, we'll do blue. I'm going to go real wet here, so and I can paint right over the tape there. No big deal. I can do this right over this tape. It is going to keep that paint, assuming I got my edges down well. Maybe don't celebrate huge amounts of water on top of the paint, but if you need to, you need to. Gotta do what you gotta do to get the effect you want. Just filling in. And so, like I said, doing a fade, take your clear water and just fade the blue over. So have a nice gradation of sky. Now, you do not want to peel the tape up until this paint is dry. So give yourself a couple of minutes and let the paint dry. Paint's dry, time to remove the tape. You want to remove the tape very carefully so you don't tear or damage your paper. So peeling it up. See? I mean, see that detail even? Did not cross that tape line. Just discard your tape when you finish. See that? We've got a nice clean edge. We could paint our sun in there. Now, painter's tape is sometimes more sticky than washi tape and is more apt to tear the paper. So go slowly and take your time. You see this lovely, clean, tight edge we have here? It makes a really nice, finished look to your watercolor paintings. And then taking here, nice, tight horizon line. Or border if you were going to cut your paper. And voila! Nice, clean, tight, masked out lines. And you could even go back in with your tape over the paint. Like say, well, I had this painted and now I'm going to go in and do my sun. I don't want to get paint on there. It's best not to use a torn edge like I just did. It's best to use the clean, sharp edges, very straight edges of the tape. Go in and mask out what you already painted, and then you can go in, you know, with the complementary sun color and not worry about things getting muddy. You know, if this orange touches that blue, that complementary colors, opposites on the color wheel, remember, it's gonna be muddy. But blend it in. And you can just let that dry. And then remove your tape very, very carefully. So that's masking tape. You could really, it's kind of fun to make abstract paintings with. You could do like, you know, well, this is short, little strips, you know, crisscross lines. Really, I mean, whatever cool designs you could come up with in the tape, it'll leave blank spots. And that's really fun to do with children also, to just let the children put pieces of tape however they want and then just let them do a big wet on wet painting. They have a blast doing that kind of thing. So now Frisket. Frisket is a product that you can buy. This is one brand of it. And it's used for masking what I would say in more detailed areas. You wouldn't do your whole border in Frisket, or you wouldn't block a whole side of a page in Frisket. It would be more for, say you had a leaf and you wanted to leave a little highlight in it. That would be pretty tedious to mask. So you could fill this area in with Frisket. Now, what about Frisket? What is this stuff? It's kind of toxic. So honestly, I don't really use it very much. I've had this one for, I'm probably embarrassed to say how many years I've had this in my art cabinet, and it's still pretty full. But it can be fun, and it can be great for tiny highlights or small things. It's very, very sticky. So please be sure to read all the manufacturer warnings and directions and follow it, follow them as they say to use them. So you always use Frisket on dry paper. And it's also good, you know, for more organic shapes. Like this is a very organic shape, so masking, you know, is sort of bolder shapes. Small organic shapes work really well with Frisket. So you're gonna get a brush, and I would recommend using not your favorite brush. This is an old brush. So I'm gonna get it wet and then dab it off, because the brush should just be a little bit damp. It should not be wet or drippy like you would use with paint. So the Frisket, see, it's very like gluey, goopy, and then you just paint it in. See, it's very sticky. take your paint, and you can just paint. You can paint right over the Frisket, and we'll see how this comes out. You can add in your highlights, dark lights, however you want. And again, with Frisket, you want to make sure the paint is completely dry before you remove it. So let your paint dry, and then we'll come back and remove the Frisket. Okay, paint's all dry, time to remove the Frisket. You don't want to let the Frisket sit on here for like days and days and days. Even the bottle says remove within 48 hours. So then you just rub it off, and see it, where I had the Frisket is white. Easy as that. And you just got a little goopy thing. So Frisket can be really fun for really painting on like careful details, tiny highlights. I would not recommend using Frisket with children. Adolescents, sure, maybe, I mean, it's up to you, but because it is kind of toxic, I definitely wouldn't use it with children. So yeah, if you find you have any residue from your Frisket, you can use a gum eraser, like gently rub. Mine came off quite clean for the most part. It's a little bit here, so I might go back in with a gum eraser and erase there. But yeah, you can see we got kind of a neat curve here. I like that. Now, this is ready to come off as well. So we can remove this tape. This is all dry. And look at that. Oh, see, you got to be really careful when removing the tape off the paint, because if it's damp at all, if that paper is damp at all, it will tear. I'm actually kind of glad that happened to show y'all. This must have been a little bit damp right here. So really, when you're masking, make sure that paper is dry. But you can see that lovely tight edge. Not 1 ounce of muddiness where those complementary colors meet. So, variables. Masking. Did you get your edges pressed down on your tape? Frisket. How thick did you put on your Frisket? Was it thick enough to block out all the paint or water? Did you miss any spots where paint could get in? See here, I missed a spot, so I didn't get a clean shape that I drew, but at the same time, this is a leaf, so an organically shaped highlight, and even one with a little surprise variable actually looks pretty good. And then you can go in, once your Frisket's off, you can go in and, you know, add your details however you like over it or whatever. You can definitely paint over top of where you put the Frisket once it's removed, of course. So those are your basic variables. I mean, there are really very few variables for masking techniques. It's just a matter of, did you get your edges pressed? Is your coverage, you know, did you put the masking implement tool where you wanted things to be masked and in the way you wanted it to be masked? So masking techniques are useful for saving these bright highlight details, for making really tight, clean edges. Play around with them, see how many masking tools can be used in your nature journaling and in which ways. So, thank you for joining me in the Wings, Worms, and Wonder Watercolor Basics for Nature Journaling series. Subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos in this series. You can find more nature journal painting tutorials in my Nature Journal Tools video series and in my Nature Journaling in a Canoe video below. Or, if you like these and would like to get deeper instruction, check out my Connecting with Color Theory for Nature Journaling e-course or my Draw Yourself Back to Nature Art Journaling for Everyone e-course. There's lots and lots of fun tutorials that use creativity and the arts to connect us to our natural world. I have lots more creative nature connection ideas, tips, tricks, and activities on my blog, Wings, Worms, and Wonder. There's a link below. You can check that out. And while you're there, subscribe to my newsletter and have awesome creative nature connection activities delivered right to your inbox. And you can get a free copy of my ebook when you subscribe through my website. So have fun with it, practice masking, and have a great day. Bye.